All right, I'm here having a conversation with Georgia Bailey and Kelly Townsend, and we're talking about what we're going to talk about in the upcoming retreats in Australia and New Zealand when we talk about holding space in connection with the Enneagram. So Georgia, why don't you tell us first about the Enneagram? What the heck
That
is the Enneagram?
Seriously, it's about holding space. Okay. So the Enneagram is a wonderful tool about that helps us to identify the habits that we actually believe that we are, if that makes sense. And they're picked up in really early childhood, and some people say even at birth. And using myself as an example, the world seems to be unjust and unfair for me. And so for me to be able to survive in the world from my Enneagram type, I need to be strong and I need to protect others. And this can be seen by others as dominating and intimidating. And for me, it just feels like this is what my role in life is to be. Knowing the Enneagram now and knowing that's actually just habits, there's an extraordinary freedom through a lot of practice, because these habits are automatic, to be able to see a much wider view of the world. So when it comes to holding space, yes, there are people who will come to me because they perceive me as being strong. And vulnerability is such a key word for my particular type. If I can then turn and be vulnerable with another, I can hold space for them so much more than when I'm big and tough and strong. If we don't know the habits that we identify with, yes, we can hold space and probably hold space very well for particular issues. However, if I can drop those habits and be really present with someone, open my heart and be vulnerable to whatever is going on for them, it stops my judgment, stops me wanting to fight, stops me wanting to make it better for them, but just accept what is. You know, you were saying earlier that holding space is just accepting what is and being present with what is. It takes a lot of inner work to be able to actually get to that place. So that's why I think the Enneagram and holding space would be really juicy material to work with.
So really it's about, because when I teach about holding space, it's a fairly general concept, and it makes the assumption that we all come to it with a certain capacity, etc. But what we don't necessarily drill down to in my course material, and what we'll be adding in with a layer is on the Enneagram is, what are your particular triggers or your particular stumbling blocks or blind spots that may be related to your Enneagram type and how you show up in the world, and how does that shape the way you hold space? So each of us, every one of us, is going to hold space slightly different and have different limitations and have need for different boundaries and different just different personal work to show up, to be present. In the end, maybe we all need to do the same kind of holding space, but it's like we all come down different paths to get there. If you imagine a valley that we're all coming to, our destination might be that valley, but we're all coming on different paths to approach that and come to that work.
So I'm just adding to that, Kelly. No, I think you're a different type to me. So how do you think that you present to someone who comes to you to hold space from an Enneagram's perspective?
Yeah, so I've studied holding space with Heather and the Enneagram here in New Zealand, and in Australia actually. And I think the beauty of pulling them together is that my particular type, I've realised, is well, I'm known as the perfectionistic reformer. So I'm fairly passionate about people for, you know, fulfilling their potential. And I have a tendency to want people to be somewhere further on from sometimes where they are or where they're able to be. And so what's really useful for me is the beautiful concept of meeting someone where they're at right now. And that's okay, in that liminal space. And it's not about where I think they should be or anything to do with me. And you know, letting go of having to know the answers has been really liberating, because it's just so much more rewarding to be with someone where they're at right now. You know, it just takes all the pressure off.
Them or you?
But probably both of us. Yeah. So I think it's a lovely combination.
Well, there's this concept that we teach, and this comes from the Circle Way work, Christina Baldwin's writing, and that is the concept of ask for what you need and offer what you can. And I think the more we get to know ourselves through things like the Enneagram that help us understand, you know, our own needs and blind spots, the more we can articulate exactly what we do need, so that we can show up with generosity and offering to other people, so we can live into that balance of both offering and asking, holding space for other people, but then also asking other people to hold space for us in a way that articulates what are my specific needs in this.
And I think, on just carrying on from that, a lot of people, and this might sound ridiculous to some, have no idea what they need. And so even if we go through that journey, down a journey where we can discover what we need so that people can hold space for us, and also then have the compassion and consideration when someone asks to hold space for them, ask them what they need. What does that look like? Because my assumption of what they need versus what they actually feel they need are going to be on completely different planets, I would guess. Because the chances are my view of the world is going to be very different to their view of the world.
I think that's a really good point, Georgia. I think it took me 50 years to even tap into the concept of needs. And
You're 50?
And yeah, and I've just found it so useful for building connection in relationship, is to be able to tap into my needs and to articulate them, and vice versa, to facilitate other people speaking that as well. And if we can do that, then it really is a great basis for connection.
So Australia and New Zealand should be an exciting little venture then. All this work and body of work that you're bringing, Heather, from Canada, and through the Enneagram work, and it should be, and also you've got all your synergy work behind you, Kelly, then it's just going to be an amazing couple of weeks, really.
Yeah, I'm excited because I've already done enough work at the big house, and have been in New Zealand also, and just really beautiful work with beautiful people. And I say this again and again, there's something really magical that happens every time I'm at the big house. Like there's something about that space that just invites really beautiful, magical things. And so I really encourage people to come check it out and be there with us.
And I'm excited to be at the Mercy Centre in New Zealand, because that's a beautiful spot too. Absolutely gorgeous. So we hope that people are going to come.